Well, hello there. It's the 21st of July 2020 and here you are with Dan in Essex, UK. So I'm a very keen home grower of fruit and vegetables, and over the last few years I've been working on a partial self-sufficiency project here. So for those of you who are interested, I'm going to link a load of videos down below, and you can check me out on Dan_Home Gardens on Instagram. If you like my work, please feel free to like, share and subscribe. And on the end of the video there'll be a load of videos on the end screen. You can click on those if you would like to learn more. So no more talking, let's get straight to what we're going to talk about today. Right, now we're going to start off with the melon project here. So now look at this melon here. Dan, as always, is going straight to the melons, and you can see just the sheer size, that how this is. Look at that, look. I'm really happy with how that's coming on. So really good. Another melon there, so that's looking really good. And just here you can see, look at that, you can see a little melon has formed there, and I've noticed a couple of fair-sized ones are coming on there. So really happy. Now, I've often found this when I've grown melons in the past, that they don't do a lot, and then all of a sudden, bang, you start noticing, you know, some fair-sized crops. So these could stay on the plants until, you know, September, October time. So I'm in no rush. Nice warm microclimate in here. In general, melons don't like going below 20 degrees C. I'm watering them about twice a week, a nice deep watering, so they're doing well. I've made no effort to hand pollinate them at all. I've let the insects do that by leaving the polytunnel door open. Lots of hoverflies and flies in here, I've noticed, so very happy in those regards. So there we go. Now I'll just let you know, the extent of how many melons are. What's happening is I'm letting them all train the whole way along here. So they're growing through there, all behind my exotics here. I'm going to let them grow all the way up. They can do what they want. At the end of the day, at the end of the year, they'll be going in the compost heap and they'll make great nitrogen. So absolutely no issues there. Now, my potatoes. So these are actually early potatoes. Now, one thing you can do, give them loads of water, okay, and the chances of getting them much bigger if you want them big. So like every other sort of twice a week, give them a nice full drenching, okay, maybe an entire sort of 10-litre watering can, something like that. Let them absorb the water, okay, and hopefully you'll get some much bigger tubers in there, which I think is nice. So there we go. Now, you can see the sweet corn here is doing quite well. I put some spinach down here in the other day. So the plan with this spinach, what you want to do is get it to a decent size around October, November, whilst it's still sort of warmish, okay? Because once the days get quite short and it gets cold, they won't grow that much, okay? So you want plenty of them at a good mature size before the real cold, wet weather and short days come in. That way you'll have plenty of greens to pick over the winter period. So a little tip for you there. Now, we'll talk about the banana tree. It really is coming on somewhat amazing. It's bulking up really lovely. My pups really are coming on. So all being well, I'll be taking some pups, and I'm hoping within the next few years to produce a crop of bananas. Right, so I get asked a lot of questions on grapes, which I'm grateful for. Right, now, so what we got here, look, if you take a look at this, right, this is one of my vines I took myself. This is variety Lakemont Seedless, and I took it from a cutting. And what you could see, if I can find it, I'll link the video down below what it looked like before it leafed out. But you can see last year's growth, okay? This is a piece of last year's growth. And there's also a piece of last year's growth about here, probably about a foot or two apart, okay? The reason why I do that is because grapes fruit off of canes which come off of the previous year's growth. So you want to leave a good foot and a half between them so that the canes have got room to come and the bunches to hang, okay? That's what I make sure that I do. Plenty of space in between your sort of main stems, if you will, so that the grapes can hang lovely and beautiful, just like this. So people often ask me, how can they get grape crops quicker? Well, the way you do that, you've got to get plenty of the previous year's growth for the canes to come on, okay? So one way of doing that is to grow them, in a microclimate such as this. Can't can't show you right now because the sun's not out, but up against a south-facing wall or fence to hold the extra heat in a polytunnel or greenhouse such as this is absolutely fantastic. As you can see, my autumn royals here, they're very much benefiting from the microclimate, and this vine really grew incredibly quick because it was in here in this polytunnel. I mean, these grapes, right, they're not quite ripe. Well, they're not ripe at all yet, but you know, if one was starving and one was hungry, they could eat these, okay? Now, you know, sharpish still, but as I say, look, like ones like that, look. So I've got, you know, edible grapes right now here in July. So, you know, as I stated, not quite there, but if one had to, then they could. So there you go, one way, get plenty of the previous year's growth. It's a nice warm microclimate, get it going, and then the following year it can then put them canes out and then give you the fruit, okay? So probably on average you're looking at, you know, you'll put your vine in, you may get 1 or 2 bunches that year, the following year you should get plenty, and the year after that you should have so many great vines like you can see here, look. I think I put this vine in at the early part of last year, so you can just see how many bunches I've got already. Okay, my spuds, my potatoes. So I've got varieties Desiree and King Edward here, okay? Now, once again, they're growing in buckets. Well, these ones are in the ground. But what I'm doing is giving them a good heavy drenching twice a week, okay? Really, really wet the tubers, wet the growing medium in there, and you should get some great, decent-sized spuds. Okay, so this is one of my apple varieties, and this is Worcester Pearman, which is really lovely, traditional apple. So I'll let you have a look at one. So there you go, look at that. That's looking pretty good. Now, what you get, right, is you get apples like that. They're not going to come to anything, okay? I know it's hard, just get rid of them. You don't want them. All they're going to do, right, secateurs would be the proper way to do this, really. But, you know, just get rid of them. I'm just slowly peeling them off like that. Get rid, because they're just going to sort of give the tree something else to think about, whilst what you want it to do is to concentrate. See, like that one, that's not made nothing either. I mean, look at that. So you'll know what ones, you'll get the idea. So ones like these, look, you can really see that they're going to turn into a top quality apple. I mean, look at that, you can see it already. And this one here, okay, don't let the tree, you know, if you've only got a relatively small tree such as this, don't let the tree waste its time, okay, you know, diverting energy into little pathetic, you know, little fruits like this that just aren't going to become anything. You know, I've made all these mistakes in the past, which is why I'm telling you, you know, don't just leave them on there and hope for the best. Get rid of them and allow the tree, like for instance, this is a classic example. So this apple on here, look, you see this one here, you know, that's not going to become anything. Get rid of it so that the plant can concentrate its energy, goodness and resources into delivering you really, really lovely apple crops. So the Pears variety Concord, they're really, really coming on well. Lovely crop there. You can just see how healthy and beautiful they look. These should be ready September, October time, but many of you are aware, you've seen a lot of this tree already this year, but it's produced a lot of pears, but they're not going to be very big. But I'm quite happy with that because, you know, the tree wants to set a more but smaller pears. I'm good with that. Okay, so this is a little idea I'm sort of considering at the moment, and that's in this Jubilee plum tree to allow the tendrils of this grapevine, or some of them, to grow up into the tree so that next year I can maybe get some crops, you know, in food forest style grapes hanging off of the plum tree, sorry. So you see this is this year's growth, so next year that will be the previous year's growth, and canes will come off of this, and I should have some lovely bunches of grapes hanging on this tree, but we'll see. I'm still undecided. Okay, so my little vegetable patch here, or one of them I should say, is doing very, very well. Many of you may have seen the video where I sprayed the black fly the other day, so that's given these plants here a chance to start putting out some lovely crops. So you can see, you know, I've got lots of runner beans forming on there, so very, very happy. Now, due to time budgeting and busyness, etc., I decided to not tie the tomatoes up or anything like that. I've just let them do what they've done. I've not pinched out side shoots. I've not left 2 or 3 trusses or anything like that. I've literally just put them in and left them. Okay, that's how it is this year. One cannot do everything, and that's just how they are. So there we go. Now here, more runner beans. They're doing really well. Be some good crops. So with regards to runner beans, they like plenty of water. You know, the traditional way to grow them was to dig a trench, fill it with things like leaf mould, compost from your compost bin, so that really holds the moisture well, because runner beans do appreciate plenty of moisture. So they give them a good heavy drenching twice a week, okay? And if you're living in a climate such as the UK, that's in the southeast of the UK, such as here, it's very important because we get relatively low levels of rainfall by UK standards here. So really heavy soaking, okay? And you're generally better off giving something a heavy soaking once or twice a week when it's in the ground than just a little bit every day, because then the roots can get a lot stronger and will go for the moisture much better. So nice heavy soaking for your runner beans. Okay, so there we are, looking good. Now down here, you may remember I put this fig tree in. So I need to give that probably a little bit of water, but that'll establish the rest of this year, and then next year start putting out growth, and I should be able to up my, or get a good production of figs going on here, because that's one thing I really want to do. Okay, my blueberries. So I'm going to be putting some of these into bigger pots over the winter period. I'll probably wait until they go dormant before they do that. So with regards to my blueberries, what I do is I give them an ericaceous drench every 2 weeks, and then sort of every other 2 weeks I offset it with something like a 555 general all-purpose feed. Okay, now you'll know if your blueberries aren't doing well, okay, because they won't grow and they won't look lovely, beautiful and healthy like these look. I mean, you can see I'm not bragging here, I'm just showing you that the methods I'm using work on these. You can see just how, you know, lovely and healthy these blueberries look, and you saw the size of the crops that came, and there's more to come on some of these late varieties. I mean, what's this variety? This is Duke, so that Duke isn't an early variety at all, actually. Duke is an early variety, yeah, there we go. So very happy with just how many they're on there. Really good. Okay, so back here into the polytunnel. Now you heard me mention about my figs. Well, there you go. And this is variety Blanche. You can see just how lovely that cutting's coming on. There's more Blanche here. Some other Negron. Are they taken? Yep, that one's taken. That Negron there. What's this? Grigio de Isio Marinesse at the back. That's taken really well. So yeah, really happy with how they're coming on. Madeleine de Deux Saisons. I've got a little fig there, probably won't end up ripening, but in subsequent years should be a very strong. One thing I've noticed about figs is when you first get them growing, they grow really quick. So it was down here, and this is all new growth this year, so it's doing really well. So down here you can see my chilies. Now these are variety Onavec, and you can see how lovely they go. They go a really lovely red colour, so they do very well. I've got to give them some water actually, haven't I? I'm going to do my evening watering regime very shortly. More down there, great in a stir fry or something like that. So I was asked a question, how is the pumpkin doing in the compost bin? There you go, growing away. Might set a little crop there, look. That's good. Polytunnel food forest is coming on really well. Be interesting to see just how many of the things come on that I've got growing here. I did notice some cucumbers forming. And down here, underneath the Worcester pearman apple tree, you may remember I set some patty pan squashes here, variety Benning's Green Tint, which I did very well with last year. None have formed yet, but they indeed should. What have we got down here? And this is a pumpkin, Big Max. There you go. So you can see lots is going on here. I've got really loads I want to do, but you're all aware that one cannot do everything all at once, so a nice slow, short and steady progress going on here. So there we go. If you like my work, please feel free to like, share and subscribe, and as always, check me out on Dan_Home Gardens on Instagram if indeed you're interested. Thanks for viewing, see you soon.